computer science students here. If someone wants to land a job in machine learning, like what would be the steps to take to be able to land a job? And my other question would be, do you need a master's degree for a machine learning job? Or is there a path to directly go from bachelor's to a machine learning job?
If you have so what will happen when you apply for a job is that your CV will get dumped into a pile of CVs that will then get passed by some HR software that will look at specific key terms that are there in the job description. You want to make sure that whatever is in that job description is also in your CV. To do that, you're not going to be able to just put down, I took a course on machine learning, it was cool, right? And this is how much I got. If you have a research project assigned to your bachelor's, and you have the ability to work with you guys at UCL, you have the Gatsby unit, right? Like you guys have like one of the best machine learning departments in the world. If you can find a professor there that can supervise your machine learning project, your final year project, and you can find something which is relatively, I guess, generalizable, you can put the description into your CV, because your CV will have much in it, right? That's why your project's gonna look very important. When you put that project in there, the HR person will pick it up, the hiring manager will read it, they will know who the name of the supervisor is or the professor, they'll look them up, they'll look at what you've done. Even better, if your project can be published as some kind of paper on archive, you can get your results out there, that looks so cool. That's like doing a mini internship.
Actually, on internship, is there a way to also do internships while in like what's for ML intern positions?
Yeah.
If someone is already in tech or is a student, what's the requirement for like an ML intern? Or do you need to have some kind of degree to get that internship?
So the way that I would do it is, and the way that I landed my master's, my PhD and so forth, right, is that you have to go out there and you have to market yourself. Like wherever you see one of these internship positions advertised on LinkedIn, look at who's advertising it. Go and look up every single hiring manager at DeepMind and then email them profusely. Like genuinely, that's what I did. Like you have to have no respectful dream about yourself when you do something like this. Like there is nothing to, genuinely, like you email from your UCL emails as well, and then they'll know that what institution you are related to. Like don't be afraid to show it off. Like when I was at Cambridge, I emailed from my Cambridge email, my CRUK email. When I was at MIT, I emailed from my MIT email. You take full advantage of it. Like you shouldn't be thinking to yourself, okay, to humble myself. There's no such thing. At the very beginning of your careers, you have access to this resource. Make use of it. Email the recruiters over and over again. They'll respond to you finally. They'll tell you who the hiring manager is for this role. And then they'll tell you, okay, we're going to consider you as part of the application process. Because every single person around the world is submitting an application for that internship. It won't just be you.
In terms of practical skills, like if there are courses we can do now while we're studying or while we're working, like let's say if there's a software engineer who wants to break into machine learning, or I'm a student who's doing computer science, have some time on the side, what can I do in terms of a course or like any other thing that can help me get that job?
So when I interview people at Facebook for data science roles and for MLE, there's several different layers of interviews that you'll go through. In DeepMind, I had like a 3-hour interview for an internship position. And that interview consisted of software engineering, so you need to know like DSA, like the data structures and algorithms. So lead code, blind, like what's it called? I think lead code 150 and blind 75. Like those, you should practice them constantly. Because
what's the lead code 150? Like 150 questions or?
It's the 150 most asked questions by these companies. So they tend to come up over and over again, or at least variations of them. Don't memorize the solutions, like just understand what the general pattern looks like, for example, for dynamic programming or two-dimensional dynamic programming or backtracking. It's really annoying because I've never used any of these things in my job. Like, I've never used them ever. Like, I don't
But they still ask about them until now.
They do.
Yeah.
They do. It's really weird. It's like asking like a pilot to perform surgery. It's just it's a really weird form of examination for a job. But unfortunately, that's what happens. You have to do it.
That's the first round. What other kind of skills do you need as well?
So you need to know data wrangling, so SQL. So that's you need to be able to understand like a query-based language like SQL. SQL is you always get asked. You can do it in Python, for example, when you use pandas, you can like, kind of express your solution in terms of pandas, but they'll be less impressed. They'll go with the person who understands SQL because like everyone knows like kind of pandas at this point. So pandas and Python as well is another example of something that should be part of the toolkit. They will never ask you to use sklearn in an interview. They'll never ask you to use some kind of machine learning IDE. It will always be a case of they'll then want to ask you fundamentals about machine learning. So for example, how do you do model selection for a linear, if you're building a linear classifier, or you're building a binary classifier, or you're building a multi-label classifier, what are you going to choose in terms of your loss function?
What's like the optimum machine learning model you use for a specific problem, for example?
How would you then judge its accuracy? How would you judge its utility? What would you use instead of it? What other models would you consider? What are the repercussions of using this model? Those are all questions we ask.
And how to prepare for like these questions? Again, like, because we said like there's a lead code for the data structures and algorithms questions. For these, is there any resource you'd recommend or?
There's free online courses. So there's one that you should be doing, like whether you like it or not, which is like blocking the machine learning interview. It's on educator.io. I think you pay like $10 or something, right? You get access to the course. That course is what every single person uses up until they're senior or principal to be able to land.
Breaking into machine learning.
It's called grokking, the machine learning systems design.
Okay, that's a book or like a...
So it's educated. So it was a book that someone then like put on educated. They sold it there.
Okay.
But it covers everything. It covers like the entire process from how you translate a business problem to a machine learning problem up until online experimentation, A/B testing. So A/B testing is another thing that you really have to be familiar with, like causality, causal uplift. Like what are the issues that arise when you do like A/B testing? How could you be certain? What statistical test do you use? They'll even ask you to define the confidence interval in terms of like, you know, the standard error. Sometimes they'll ask you to derive it as well.
So there's a big statistics aspect as well.
That's why the another course I recommend is Stats 101 by MIT. So they have like a really good introduction to stats, just in case you haven't done it. It's a good refresher as well. It doesn't go into too many details. It gives you all of the basic details that you need to be able to kind of like land the points that they technically go for, joint distributions, marginal distributions, central limit theorem. These things, unfortunately, do get asked again. I've never used them in my life, my job. I've never had to sit down and write out the central limit theorem, right, while I'm like some manager or a stakeholder. But you need to know these things to get through the interview process and land the job.
And is that it? So we said we cover the basics, which are data structures and algorithms, and then you have a business problem, and you need to say, this is the model I'm using, this is why I'm using it, this is how I optimize the model.